Alright, welcome back. This is Hero Tales. Let's see, right now I'm just going to go through a couple things about farming, update where my progress is at, and maybe a couple ideas that I had for the game. First thing is I'm at level 222. I've gained quite a few levels. It's pretty easy to do, a couple levels a day. Even if I'm not able to play one day or another, I can maybe do like 5 or 6 another day. So progression is pretty smooth. Looking at my stats here, let's see, my combat's at 63, range is at 70, my magic I've gotten up to 26. And magic, if you guys don't know, you just press once you finish the druid quests, then you go and press this little button in the left, and that'll raise your magic by 5 every time. And so magic will just increase your health regeneration rate for a certain amount of time that's dependent on your magic level. So a few things about farming. Last time I was playing this, I had focused a lot on this tile down here, the Secret Orchard, because it had the Dryad and it had the Ent. And the reason I like this is because the Ent was easier to kill because it took a lot longer for him to charge his attack. He also gave quite a bit of damage. And so I was farming this for a while because I could. A lot of what helped me be able to do this was getting a higher movement speed in the upgrade tree. And so that helped a lot. However, now I'm at a point where I find it best for me to farm at this Woodfolk area with the Archer Cultist and the Ivy Cultist. Now the main reason for this is I haven't done any math on whether or not this is actually more experience, but in my head it's at least close to the same amount of experience because I'm getting 2100 experience for the Ivy Cultists and a little bit less for the Archer Cultist, 1800, but I'm also getting it a lot faster. And so I think that this might be the most best way to gain experience. The other thing that I want to point out is that if we look at different parts of the map, so if we look at this Woodfolk area, the Archer Cultist drops arrows, okay? And so arrows are stackable. Everything else that's dropped, the boots, the club, the bow, and the toga looking thing, none of those stack. And so even when I'm fighting now, whenever I get a piece of armor or something like that, or a weapon, it says that my inventory is full. And I'm okay with that because I don't need to be selling things every time my inventory is full because, as you can see, I have 1.8 million coins, so there's no shortage of cash there. And I'm not going for anything specific because I already have everything. Anything that I want, I have. Anything I don't want, I've already sold. So really what I'm going for when I farm is two things: experience, and the second thing is anything that stacks well. So if I look here, it's filled with all these things, but at the bottom here I have a few things that do stack well. I got this Ivy arrow that I'm getting from the Archer Cultist, and this is something that I like because right now this is the best arrow in the game, and so I want to make sure that I have a lot of it, especially if I find a good bow combo that I use with it. I can just use those arrows, and I don't want to have to run out if I only had a few hundred. There's other things like the Sparkly Essence, the Happy Mushroom, and apples that also stack as well. And so whenever I farm, what I like to do is I like to get in a position where I am farming things for experience, but also things that stack. And so let's take a look at the map for a second and take a look at some of these areas. So we're going to start with near the start, okay? So the first few levels, in my mind, you don't really need to, you're not going to be in them long if you're just starting the game. But what I like to farm early on in the game was potions. So you see here at this cave, the Imp Warrior and the Imp Shaman both drop potions. The Imp Warrior drops a smaller potion, the Imp Shaman drops a larger potion. that I think heals 90. So what I like to do is whichever one I'm comfortable with and whichever one I can farm at, including this one, this cave entrance, the cave, or the imp's habitat. For a little bit of time, I would farm here, and what I would do is I would collect these potions to heal, and then what else I would do is I would also set my, I would set my, so I have the active bonus by watching ads, and I would set my threshold of auto consumption 80 or 90%. That way, as I would farm, I would collect the potions, and I would also use the potions, and that would help me farm at a higher level. In some cases, what I would do is I would collect maybe about 100 of each of these, and then I would go to a harder, tile, like this Pirate's Cove, and I would farm these. And the Pirate's Cove is good too, because you can collect the gold coin, and that'll stack. And at a certain point, I was able to get to the Harpy's Den with using potions. And the good thing about the Harpy's Den is it's a good break point where you get a lot of experience. You also get a lot of feathers, and the feathers are pretty expensive. You can pick them up pretty quick because they have a pretty high drop rate. And if we look at the lower squares, the other ones that we can farm, basically anything that stacks. So I think the fins stack, the fish might stack. Fish don't really do much of anything though. At that point, you're just getting them, but might as well sell them. Anything along the bottom here that has the mushrooms or the powder or the wings, anything like that is going to be a good thing to farm. Now there isn't much use for mushrooms or potions or anything yet. A lot of the consumables don't really have much of an effect currently, and so it's not super important that you need to stack everything. But what's good about being able to stack your items is that it makes it easier to sell in large clumps, and also whenever you go back to the town center to sell, you're going to be more infrequent on how often you have to go back there. Especially if you're just starting and you want to make money, you're going to want to be heading back there to sell so you can keep getting money. So going back to the different tiles, some tiles have enemies that mostly drop things that you would wear, things that you would fight with, weapons and armor. So for example, at this heath, we see there's the Berserk Cultist drops footgear and armor, and the Bandit drops basically every type of armor and a weapon. And so none of those stack, and so if you're spending a lot of time here, you're not going to get a huge reward. And so whenever you farm, you want to look for something that's going to benefit you the most. And what I think the two areas are most experience and the most items that you can stack that are useful. And so my two favorite spots, so for experience, I went here to the Secret Orchard because this offered a lot of experience where I could farm without having to do anything, but it didn't have as much items that could stack, and so I was filling up with a lot of useless items. Now, when I finally go here, with the Archer Cultist and the Ivy Cultist, here I think I'm getting equal to or more experience than that other tile that I just showed you, but the difference is now I'm stacking things that I can actually use. And so when I'm stacking these arrows here, that's something that I can actually use with one of my bows sometime. And so I have two bows here. I've got this vine bow, and I've got this cannon bow. Now the vine bow has a range of 6, which is a lot better in my mind. But anyway, if I'm able to shoot 6,000 arrows, that's going to be really good because I'm not going to run out anytime soon. The other thing to think about is you want to have a lot of arrows because your ranged stat here, if you look here, the range stat increases 1 every time you use a range attack and you hit someone. And so right now I'm at about 12,000 out of 21,000. So I'm going to need about 8 or 9 more thousand shots of damage in order to get to the next level. And so what I would do then is, if I ever want to use my arrows, I want to wait until I have at least 8 or 9,000 arrows. That way, at least I can get to the next level. That's just my personal preference, something I enjoy doing. So that's how I like to farm. I like to think of what's going to give me the most experience and what is going to give me the best items. Now, if you don't have items, like let's say we look at this square right here. Let's say that you don't have all the items unlocked. Like let's say for the bandit you don't have those shoes unlocked. What I would do then is I would just keep farming this area until I'm able to get the shoes, because what I have here is I have everything unlocked for every single tile. And now some of the stuff that you might unlock, not really helpful. It's maybe something that you can unlock in another tile. But just for completion and filling everything in, I like to unlock everything. So once I have everything unlocked, then that's when I look at what's going to give me the most experience and what is going to give me the best items, preferably items that can stack. Now, I'm at a point in the game right now where I'm just going to be in this tile probably until the next update. A couple things though that I was thinking would be pretty cool is, right now I have so much money, 1.8 million. It is so much money, and there's not really much you can do with it. If we go to the town center, which is currently the only place to buy anything, right? We look at all this stuff. So this dad's juice, I would never buy that. Bread, never buy that. Health potions I did buy when I was a lower level because they were really helpful. Healed 30. Any of the armor I wouldn't buy. And so the only thing that maybe I would buy is these arrows. Now if I were to buy everything, I could buy 612,000 arrows, which is insane. There's no way I would ever need that many. Especially when I'm getting better arrows from actually just killing enemies. And so one thing that I think would be really cool is is to have some sort of maybe some sort of market where you're able to trade in your coins for maybe some sort of experience, or maybe you trade in your coins for some sort of actual money deal. So instead of paying for the next level of the ferry, maybe you're just able to spend 2 million coins and you're able to unlock the next ferry level. I think that would be pretty cool because you're going to be playing a lot anyway to get to 2 million. So, if you're watching ads, it's still going to be a lot of money to the developers. The other thing too is I think maybe increasing what you can buy in this Oscar's shop. Maybe increasing the weapons, or make weapons that are specific to the shop that you can't get anywhere else. But basically some sort of leveling out of the money. And I know some people maybe don't have a lot of money, but it's not too hard to get to a point where you're able to just consistently collect money, because you're not really spending money on everything. If you play and farm right, I think that you can just take your time and go through each stage where anything that you would buy, you could just pick up later on in the game. So I think there could be a cool balance there for weapons. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to what's going to come next in the next update. This game's pretty fun, but it'd be really cool to just see where it goes, to keep the progression headed forward. And then of course I think magic could be something that would be good too.